Hopefully this is third time is a charm. This is Dr. Jenn, the Intuitive Phoenix, here to talk to you tonight about intuition, calling this a pop-up workshop. So if you've got questions about intuition, you want to know more about intuition, you are struggling with using your intuition or wondering what it looks like for you, these are questions to pop up with tonight. Post them below and we will dive in on the topic of intuition. The reason I chose intuition is me utilizing, developing, enhancing my intuition has transformed my life from long, hard hours of work to more ease and flow and freedom, more fun, more confidence and trust in myself and my connection to my higher power. And it's allowed me to move outside my comfort zone. I mean, there are so many benefits to mastering your intuition, developing your intuitive. Oh, I can't talk tonight. Probably because this is the third time I've tried to do this. There were some issues with technology. So I've said some of these things now 3 times. I'm pulling up a list that I had created earlier of some of the benefits that I've gained from developing my intuition. So I wanted to share some of those. I have more energy because some of the tasks or decisions that I made as an entrepreneur they're ongoing. No matter what we're doing in this life, we have a lot of decisions to make. But as an entrepreneur, I felt like the level of questions I had to answer increased dramatically. That I always had something else to do, something else to follow up on. People were asking me questions all the time. Hey, Kel, I can now see her. I've had people sharing messages that they couldn't connect to my live, so I'm happy to see that people now are able to connect. So as I was saying, I felt like the number of questions that I was asked or that I had to answer as an entrepreneur were significantly more than what I had to answer when I worked for somebody else or when I was in school. And I found myself literally getting exhausted. And I know now they refer to that as decision fatigue, but I was literally exhausted by the time I reached the end of my work day because of the number of questions that I had to answer. Utilizing my intuition has changed that. Now I answer questions a lot easier, a lot more efficiently, and I don't feel drained by lots of questions and having to answer those questions. And let's see, as I mentioned, increase in ease in my decision making. Before, when I would make decisions, I literally felt like I had all these lists that I would create, and I would try to figure out where the pros and cons were. And if I felt like I was trying to put this puzzle together, that if I moved this and addressed that, maybe this would come into play. That, again, exhausting, time consuming, and I didn't feel confident that the decisions I was making were actually the best decisions for me. I still had so much doubt around my decision making, and then I would second guess what it was that I was doing. Hey, Melanie, welcome. It's good to see you. As people jump on here, say hello, let me know that you're here, and shoot a message as to where you are joining us from. I always find it fascinating because sometimes we have people from around the country and even around the world, And if you've got questions about intuition, anything related to intuition, feel free to post them below, because I will be checking in on that and answering those questions. So as I was saying, now I make decisions that I don't second guess, that I trust, that I'm not even utilizing energy after the decision's made. I make the decision and I move on. Makes a huge difference. So as a result, I have less stress. I'm less overwhelmed because, again, I'm not constantly trying to figure things out, trying to control things, trying to manipulate things to work out best for me. As people who spend time with me know, they may literally say, check in. And they want me to check in about whatever we're discussing, because they've come to trust my intuition as well, to be able to get to a quick answer, a quick option, and move forward with it. I love that. I love that people who work with me or know me, my friends, family members, they know that this is something that they can rely on me for when we're together. Let's see. Oh, one of the things I love about intuition is that I can try new things, and it's easier, it's more comfortable. Now, a lot of people, because they see me talking on here or they know me from other professional circles, they don't realize that I am an introvert. I don't find talking easy when I'm amongst a large group of people, unless I know or I'm facilitating the conversation, much like this. I'm really comfortable doing this. I'm comfortable speaking in front of 50 or 100 people or more, because I'm the one that's presenting on a topic that I love typically. And, oh, Melanie says the same for her as well. So when it comes to going to events, meeting new people, deciding if I want to step outside my comfort zone to engage in something, if I rely just on my mind to answer that question, it's either going to take a whole lot of energy and effort on my part for me to get me there, because my mind's going, no, 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 please don't do this. But if I access my intuition and say, is this in my highest and best interest to do? And I get a yes, my confidence from within automatically increases. And I find it much easier to engage in those things that normally I would have shied away from. Since I've been using my intuition on a personal level, I tried new things. I started art classes and I've been doing those for about a year, after telling myself for 35 years I wasn't creative or artistic, and having others tell me I wasn't creative and artistic. I'm trying to think of some of the other things I've done. I guess a lot of them have been creative. Singing. I've gone to some classes and some group events, again, with people. I went to a recording of a live show the other day. Again, not something I would have done if I didn't utilize my intuition. I might be looking to try something new. And where I live, there's so much to do, typically so much that it's like, what do you choose? This sounds interesting, that sounds interesting, but my mind the whole time is going, but it's new. Do you really want to do this? It means new people, stepping outside your comfort zone. My mind's going, no, no, no. I ask my intuition, is this in my highest and best interest? And I will narrow down a really long list of options to something that I get a yes to. And that's what I'm going to move forward with. So that's another way I use my intuition. sometimes, and I would love to hear from the people who are here. If you use intuition, how do you use your intuition? What are some of the examples that you have that you use your intuition for? I'd love to hear that. Post those comments below. And of course, if you've joined us and you haven't already said hello, say hello. I see Vicky had joined. Hi, Vicky. I don't know if you're still here. As I've mentioned, you probably heard me say, I can't always tell who's here and who's not, because if we're not already friends on Facebook, I can't see you. So let me know that you're here. Let me see. So I was saying, oh, take new action. Sometimes I have an idea, and a lot of times it's for my business, and I go, is now the right time to do it? And again, instead of getting caught up in my head and trying to balance and figure out and again, manipulate and move things around, I'll ask, is it in my highest and best interest to do this now? If I get a no, I'm then going to ask, is it my highest and best interest basically to keep it on a back burner? Because it might just not be time now. Or I'm going to ask other questions of my intuition to see maybe there's some prerequisite steps I need to do. I utilize my intuition a lot. We have some pretty in-depth conversations. I know some of my clients start off, they might have their intuition, but they keep it simple, at least when we first started talking about intuition, because intuition is a practice, utilizing our intuition. We want to develop a relationship around our intuition. So the depth of your questions or conversation with your intuition may vary. Doesn't mean you don't have it. You just might not have developed it as much as I have. Let me see. Oh, less struggle. I realize sometimes I get up in my head, and I call it my shitstorm. And my mind wants to wreak havoc and take me down a path that I don't really want to go. Or I find myself in going, now how do I get out of this? I will access my intuition for that. So I find that in the past, prior to using my intuition, if my shitstorm, my mind was going, and I felt sucked in by that, and it's usually negative self-talk and why things won't work and why I'm not capable and why things aren't working out for me. That's where my shitstorm gets really going. Prior to utilizing my intuition, my shitstorm could keep me tossing and turning for days and sometimes even weeks on some level. Now, typically, I can move out of that shitstorm usually within minutes. Sometimes, if it's a pretty rough day, it might take me a day or so. But it's going to be a pretty strong shitstorm to do that at this point. And it's my intuition that helps move me out of that. How else do I use my intuition? Oh, I use my intuition to access my subconscious or my unconscious mind. It is, if we rely on our logical mind, we're only accessing about 5% of our brain function. But we still have that other, 95% of the brain that has that subconscious and unconscious information that we don't have readily available. But when we utilize our intuition actually gives us access to what else has been stored in our mind. And there's research available that actually talks about how our subconscious mind can recognize patterns before our conscious mind can. It can recognize situations that maybe are not safe or not really great for us before our mind actually recognizes it. So I love my intuition for that, that it can access more of my brain capacity. As I've used my intuition, I have learned to trust myself. I find it easier to get out of my own way. Again, before, I always seemed to be waffling between this decision or that decision. Is this the right one? Is that the right one? Which one's going to get me the better results? Which one's going to get the results that I want? And that in itself, stressful. And because I was constantly second guessing myself, I was creating this basically negative feedback loop and developing this pathway in my nervous system that made it ever easier to second guess myself, to doubt myself. The more I did it, the more efficient that pathway became. So my intuition has allowed me to create new patterns easier because I'm not just relying on my mind. I'm relying on my conscious mind, my subconscious and unconscious mind, and the connection of my mind to my body, which is super important because our body is giving us information on a consistent basis about how we're doing internally and about what's going on externally. And if you're watching this, let me know, does that make sense? And if it does, can you imagine how your life can be transformed if you're relying or developing, enhancing your intuitive ability? Now, I know at times people will say, I don't have intuition, or I can't trust my intuition, or my intuition gets me in trouble. This is what a lot of my clients will say to me at times. Or, I never know if I can trust my intuition because my mind is telling me something different. These are some of the challenges that people experience when they start to utilize their intuition or want to take their intuition to the next level. If this is you, I want to know about it because I've worked through this. I've worked through this and found, not only for myself, but my clients, when to rely on your mind. And I can tell you, it's not too often, versus when to rely on your intuition. And I had a client, well, actually, she wasn't even a client when I first had this conversation with her. And she was saying how she didn't utilize her intuition anymore because it had gotten her into trouble too many times. And after just a brief conversation, what I discovered, and now that I'm saying this, I can think of two clients or two people that I've had conversations with, that in just sharing with them that if their intuition is saying one thing and their mind is saying something else, if they follow their intuition, they're going down the right path. Our mind can tell us anything. Our mind can convince us of anything. Our mind can create stories, positive, negative, sometimes both at the same time, and none of it is true. So following your intuition. And for these two people who weren't even clients at the time, when they just changed that one thought, Like, oh, or that one step. I'm going to rely on my intuition if my intuition and my mind do not match, and that already started transformation for them. So again, if you're watching this, say hello, say where you're joining from. If you're watching the recording, type replay so I know you saw the video. And if you've got questions, challenges, or comments about intuition, your experience with it, or how it's worked for you, where have been the challenges or obstacles, I'd love to know. Because using your intuition can transform your life. It's transformed mine, it's transforming my clients. And I want you to have that transformation as well. Okay. So I mentioned increased trust with yourself. I found as I trusted myself more, my confidence in all areas of my life increased as well. And with that, I can make the smallest decisions to the most important, vital decisions with ease, with efficiency, and without second guessing myself or regret. I've made some huge decisions. I used it to make my decision about getting married or when to ask. I used it to make the decision about closing a business that I had for 9 years and essentially starting a new one. And I make it for my most expensive business decisions, my most expensive, as far as what I'm paying out, financial decisions. And I'm making these decisions with confidence and with trust. And as I've made these decisions, they've allowed me more freedom in my business and in my life. I'm enjoying the free time and flexibility that I've gained as a result of using my intuition. And along with that, my, I guess you could call them extrasensory abilities, have continued to expand and unfold in new and awesome ways. What started off as my intuition speaking, then progressed to channeling, and now I would say that I am a psychic because I receive information that way. I also can communicate with people who have passed. So there's a lot of other abilities that have come into play with this, all that have in some way enhanced my personal life and in my professional life as well. So again, if you're still here, say hello. If you've joined since I last asked, post a comment, say where you're from, ask your questions, share your obstacles, because I want you to be able to transform your life by increasing and mastering your intuitive confidence, as it changed mine. All right, let's see if anybody else has any questions or comments. It seems to be a slow Monday night, at least for the live. All right, well, if you watch this at a later time, type replay if you're watching. Let me know that you did watch. And if you are interested in developing your intuition or taking your intuition to the next level, post intuition in the comments or shoot me a private message that says intuition, and we'll talk about the course that's coming up and my programs on how you can develop your own intuition as a foundation for transformation in your life. All right. I am sending you health, love, ease in your transformation. Until we connect again, I'll talk to you later. Bye.